Well, hi guys. Tonight, for your viewing pleasure, I have a yabo of a different nature that I thought I might share with you. I have heard all kinds of hype on the web about this right here. This brand of inexpensive electric guitar. As you know, I've been known to pluck a tune or two, and I'm always experimenting. I have some gear that's really expensive, I have some gear that's not so expensive, and this would fall under the gear that's absolutely not expensive. This is inexpensive gear, and this is a guitar that I purchased off Amazon. It's called a Firefly. It's a copy of a Gibson 335 model, basically. It's a semi-hollow body guitar. It's supposed to be red, a red sort of gloss finish. And I just got this from UPS, and I thought I'd yabo it with you today. So, without further ado, let's get to the yabo. All right, got my handy-dandy yaboizer here, and let's see what happens. That can't be a good thing. I don't know how much of this you can actually see in the camera, but I'm just going to cut the tape. Just 2 strips of tape holding this closed. Okay? Just 2 strips. Turn this up. And we'll take the front off. Okay, double box, that's a good thing. Put the lid aside. Dig down a little deeper. Ah, look at that, huh? That's a coffin inside a sarcophagus. Alright, let's get this side out of here. Alright, that'll go down on the floor. On top of June. Okay, bye Junie, sorry about that. Okay, next. Now that doesn't look like it's in bad shape, does it? Let's see what we get. Double box, and there is the axe. In the wrapped in swaddling foam there. Look at this. A cord. And some picks. That's a nice cord. We'll have to check that out individually. Let's get to the axe. We've got an elastic band on top. I'm probably blocking most of the view here. A little foam protection on the bottom. Right here. Let's take the wrapper off. Oh, it's kind of like a bag. Okay. Alright. It'll come through the bottom. Okay. This kind of foam sticks to that kind of gloss finish. This is looking kind of nice. Okay. We'll get the foam out of there. Here you go. This is a Firefly semi-hollow copy, or somewhat facsimile, of a Gibson 335. That's a nice finish. Look at that. Look at the color. No blemishes. A little dust from the box. Look at a set neck. Set neck. I expected a bolt-on. They've got it already strung. You can already hear the tone coming out of that thing. For an untuned axe. Well, this pickup, here's a problem. You see this? That is pushed all the way in. If that is damaged and stripped, I'm probably going to have to return this. But I will tell you, I paid $139 for this guitar from Amazon. So if I can fix that easily, I'll fix it. But if it's damaged, I don't know. We'll have to think about it. So I'm going to stop us for now and and we'll resume with sound test. This is why spending $139 on a guitar probably isn't the smartest thing. Can you see this pickup right here? This was pushed in, this end right here was sunken in below the level of the face, as I showed you. And what I did in the time from the last cut to this cut back in is I took the pickup out. I loosened up the strings. As you can see, there's one missing now. I loosened up the strings, and then I unscrewed these 4 screws to dismount the pickup. So I snuck the pickup out, and I found that this screw right here, this bolt, which sits down, it screws into a flange at the bottom of this chrome cover. There's a little ear flange that comes out, and there's a spring between the head here and the bottom, so it gives it tension to keep it spread apart. And this screw, well, this bolt in the threaded ear at the bottom, it was completely stripped. I mean, it was just, I could spin it with my fingers. It was so stripped. This piece right here, this screw, wood screw right here, is absolutely stripped. In fact, that screw itself has almost no thread on it. It's just it looks like they knocked them off by the billion in some Chinese shop, and this had no thread on it at all. This, the bolt has thread, but the ear, I had to literally crimp the ear together with the pliers to get enough of the burr in there to come in and allow that to catch on the threads so that I could mount the pickup. Okay, so I got the pickup back in there. Mind you, I have not even checked this for electrical continuity yet. I don't even know if it fully works. But when I was putting this all back together, when I mounted the pickup back in, I went to retension the strings so that I could then get to the, checking this setup and all that and finding out if it's going to work for me. Well, as I began to tune this one string, the high E string, as I began to tighten it, I noticed that it would go, nee. Like, why is it sinking like that? So I tightened it up again. Nee. And it was losing tension. And I looked up at the tuner here. Let me get my tuning machine on there. I looked up here at the tuning peg, and I watched the gear. And it was not unwinding. It was not loosening. So I thought, well, maybe the string that they had on there was just not seated well in the hole, Maybe they didn't bend it back right or something. So maybe it was losing tension up here. It just kept falling, but I couldn't see anything happening. And then, all of a sudden, down here, see where the balls at the ends of the strings are? Yes, you're looking at the balls. This one right here actually began to unwind, which I've never even seen before, until the string just went pop, and the little brass ring at the bottom popped right out. So, as far as this having a good set of strings on it, which it professes to have, it doesn't. Who knows what they look like, but I can tell you what they aren't. They are not good strings. So, but that's okay. I mean, we're still in our price range of $139. We're still finding expectable things. Now, the only thing that would make this a deal breaker to me now, because of course I'm going to put my own strings on. This hardware is good enough for this guitar, I think. Some people swap out this bridge. I'm not going to, probably. It seems steady enough. I'm going to check it now electrically and make sure everything works. Make sure the pickups do what they're supposed to do. Make sure the toggle switch does what it's supposed to do. And I'll report back with that in just a few minutes. So let's cut away for now. Well, I got it plugged in, and I got the amp down low because it's 7 o'clock at night and I live in an apartment complex. But the pickups work. As you can tell, this pickup here is the one that is selected when this switch is in the position it's in now. Which, by the way, I got to realign it because it goes this way. It's silly. In this position, this works. That doesn't, see? That's the way it's supposed to be. And the opposite position, This pickup should be on, and this one should be off. That is on. That one's off. That's good. In the middle position, it should be both. And I've got both volumes turned all the way up and the tones all the way up. So in the middle position, it should be both. Yep. Yep. You probably can't hear the amp over there, I don't know. But anyway. So I decided to maybe play it a little bit, you know. With only 5 strings on it. Bridge position. These frets, the finish on these frets looks shiny and nice. They look like steel, don't they? They feel like chrome. They feel horrid. When I go to vibrate on the string, now what I can tell is that they put a shine on them somehow. They probably buffed them before they crowned and sanded them. They probably just got them in a shape that looked, you know, roughly decent, you know. They got them level, and then they quickly buffed them to make them look shiny is what they did. The surface is not finished right on these because buffing it does not get the you know, the pits out and the little divots and lines that that catch the string. Listen. I don't know if you can hear that. You shouldn't hear a string scraping on a fret. Hear that? That's pretty bad. So that all the frets are going to have to be refinished. This is going to have to be gone through. I don't know how level it is. By feel, it feels pretty level. The neck seems to be fairly straight. So I guess what I need to say about this guitar is that it's probably salvageable. But out of the box, the one that I got was not playable. I could not take this out of the box, clean it up, tune it up, and go play a gig with it. No. In fact, because of the absolute zero integrity of the little hardware like the screws and the bolts that I found, I'm probably going to have to go through my bag of tricks over there and find matching ones that are actually real and put them on there. Just to make it so that if I hit that with my hand accidentally, if I bump that with an elbow or put it too hard against an amp or something accidentally, that pickup's liable to sink back in there and be unplayable for the night. So that's, you know, again, $139 Firefly copy of a Gibson 335. The body is nice. The woodwork is nice. The fretwork is bad. The hardware holding the pickups is bad. The mount of the switch is off center. So I've got that's a small thing to fix, but still, you know, a kid getting this as a first guitar probably won't know that and will get used to using it in the wrong position like that. So that's got to be fixed down here. These pots, they feel like cheap Chinese pots, but you know what? They'll probably do. Because most of the time I kind of set them where I want them and I just leave them. So I probably won't mess with those. Up this end, these tuners, they actually feel kind of okay. I mean, they're cheap. They're made of cheap materials, but they do the job. They, you know, they feel tight enough. There's enough integrity in them. The ratio is, the ratio is a little too high maybe, or a little too low I should say. They're too close. In other words, you get too much bang for the buck when you turn it, so it's hard to adjust and fine tune. This nut right here, not sure what it is. It's certainly not bone, some kind of hard plastic. And of course, you know, like most guitars at this price range, it's made in China. So, first impression out of the box in the first half hour that I've owned this guitar, I've already had to do work on it just to get it playable. And I've lost a string because what they called, you know, high quality strings are not. They're just not. They're you can tell they don't even sound that good. They don't ring that well. I'm crazy with strings. I got billions of strings in the house. I'm not worried about that. But it's not so much the strings that are on there. It's them saying that they provided high quality strings when they absolutely did not. This one came unraveled. When have you ever seen a string come unraveled? You know? So it arrived looking like it had taken facial damage because that pickup was pushed in. I had to pull that out. I had to fix the threading inside there just so that that bolt would hold. I still got to go back in and find other hardware for this. These pickups, I can't really test them to any degree because I can't really play the guitar right. I got to get these frets to where they don't hiss when I play on them, so that I get a realistic idea what the pickups are actually doing. So, you know, I still have some going through just to get this to where I can give it a good test drive. So, people considering buying the $139 Amazon Firefly Gibson E335 copy, a lot of guys take it out of the box and say, oh, it was ready for a gig right out of the box. BS, okay? If you're a guitar technician, or at least an experienced player, you'll see a lot of problems right away. And, oh, I'm seeing even more. Yeah, these bridge saddles are just kind of floating from side to side a little bit. I gotta mess with those too. That's why people swap that bridge out, I guess. I think I have another bridge like it, but I have to decide if I want to keep this. I don't want to put a whole lot of work in it, send it back to the factory in tip-top pristine condition because I reconditioned it, when I've actually done more labor than the guitar cost, you know. So that is my initial review of the Firefly semi-hollow 335 copy guitar. Good points and bad points, you know. The finish is nice. The woodwork seems nice. The frets are bad, and the ends of the frets are not rolled, so you will catch your hand on them. I got to go through and do all kinds of stuff. If I decide to keep this, I'll probably have to put, you know, $200 worth of labor into the $139 guitar. So that's where I'm at with this. I'm only going to put a little more work into it before I come back to you and give you a final prognosis here. So, thanks for watching. Stick around for the part 3, and I'll let you know what I think and whether or not I'm going to keep it. Okay, well, here in part 3, what I have done is done some appreciable work to this guitar. In the interim, since our last filming, what I've done is a good amount of work, I'd call it, for an initial cleanup. So what I did was I stabilized this pickup, like I was saying before, but mostly what I set out to do was fix those frets. A few things I did. I have some very, very high grit sandpaper, almost like emery paper really, that I just took the surface, you know, crappiness off with, and then I went back in and I hit it with 0000 steel wool. That's what puts a mirror shine on them. I did not recrown them because they're not really all that tall to begin with. They're kind of wide, flat frets. Okay. I didn't want to crown them because I'd lose some material that way, and the more material you lose out of there, the less sustain you get and things like that. So mostly I just took the what you might call burr, you know, surface scratches off of them, off the frets, and then I polished them out, and they were surprisingly level. So a few things about this guitar are very right. One main one is that the frets are actually level and they are set correctly. I can't find a problem with the way they're set, but they didn't roll the burr off the edges very well. So I'm going to probably go back and do that at some point, but I can live with it, you know, for now. I set the intonation so that it's pretty true now. That means that if you hit, you know, an octave up here in the intonation and then you fret it, it's the same note. So I just messed with it until I got it roughly close. Pretty good. I straightened the neck out. Well, actually the neck was too straight. It needed a bit of relief, which means I needed the neck to come this way a little bit because it was too far back. And that meant that when I played on these low strings, they were buzzing until I got to about halfway up, and then they stopped buzzing. Which meant that the middle of the neck was too proud, or the head was too shy. So I brought it forward. I gave it just a touch of relief. You can't really see it with the naked eye unless you were to shoot down the neck like that. I don't know if you'll be able to see that. I can't get that straight. But anyway, so my floor is covered with steel wool filings and iron filings and things like that. And I peeled all the plastic off, and I went through the wiring, which looks pretty clean. The switch works correctly, and it actually doesn't sound bad. It's a very bright sounding guitar. I can't turn the volume up because now it's later at night, but it's a bright sounding guitar. Even on the fattest pickup, the neck pickup being the boomiest in most guitars, it's still pretty bright. The middle position is kind of sweet. And of course the bridge position is just bright. I tend to play on either this or the mix of the two. I rarely ever play on the bridge pickup unless I'm using distortion. I do a lot of leads actually, but this is going to be for my more mellower stuff, and it's really just a backup guitar. So I took a $139 guitar. I probably put realistically about $120 worth of labor into it. I didn't put any parts in it. So far I haven't replaced any parts. I just rescued what parts were in trouble. So with the fret dressing, the partial dressing, I didn't have to take them down and level them and all that stuff, which would have been a lot bigger job. But with a partial fret dressing, without crowning them, just cleaning them up and then shining them up good, straightening the neck out, just basically cleaning the guitar up, setting the intonation, basically setting it up to be played. I would say that's about $120 worth of labor on top of a $140 guitar. Now you're looking at something that's, I mean, you could argue that it's worth 200 and something, but really, in the guitar world, there are too many nice guitars out there to try to sell one that came in cheap and you worked on a lot. You know, that you can't jack the price up that high. So basically you do that when you're going to play the guitar, and I'm going to play this guitar. I may use it for practice here in the living room. You know, I may use it as a backup. That's what old PipeCat spent the night doing. So the first yabo in a while, and it was not a pipe or tobacco. This came from Amazon.com. It's a Firefly copy of a Gibson 335 guitar. What's the actual? Does it actually have a model on it? Well, there's no real model that I can see. You think it's a model? I mean, it's the logo and the company. JSN. I mean, it's kind of neat. I think it's kind of cool. I mean, the color is beautiful, and the finish is the best part of the guitar. You know, the binding is good. This white binding around it is sort of an ivory color, and look, it's a complicated binding. It's got a line in it. You know, so it's a pretty thing. It doesn't sound bad. If it makes it through shipping, which is a big if, because it did not come in a hard case, I'd say it's a pretty good value. But yeah, there were more things wrong with it than most of the reviews out there were talking about when I bought the thing. But you can't argue for the price. You have to keep saying for the price. That's a phrase I don't care much for, you know, because I've bought some really sweet guitars for some really cheap money, and I've spent a lot of money on some garbage guitars too that didn't last me the year. You know, I got a few of them sitting in the closet over there, wondering how I'm going to cannibalize them, what I'm going to do with them. But for now, you know, the Firefly. no strap and I'm tired and my hands are filthy and killing me. And black stuff all over them. Thanks for tuning into the PipeCat channel, and you have yourself a wonderful Valentine's evening.